Hi, welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Sandilyn Taylor, and you're in Kentucky.
Yes.
Okay. And so I'm going to
Hi, Peggy. It's to be here.
There's a little delay there. That's okay. So start wherever you like and take as long as you like, okay? So do you say you want to start at the beginning?
Yes. I'm sorry if I interrupt your introduction. Sorry, I didn't hear. Yeah. You can repeat it again if it's
Okay.
okay, so that we
Okay.
will have a introduction.
Okay, I'll start over.
And then
Hi.
let me know so I can just say hi.
Okay.
Right.
Hi, welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Sandilyn Taylor, and she's going to tell us about her spiritual experiences, out-of-body experiences, astral projection.
Yes. All right. Hi, Peggy. It's so nice to meet you here. It's an honor to be here. And I am Sandilyn Taylor. I've been living here in Kentucky for almost 10 years or 10 years now. But I was born and raised in Philippines, and growing up, um, I was raised as a pagan, and so no one really introduced to me about Jesus Christ. Although back before, Philippines, Peggy is 80% Catholic. So there is that Christianity in Philippines already. But where I grew up, um, it's more on um, pagan worship. It's like I remember when I was young, we were introduced to different rituals, so that's how my upbringing is. I was not raised by my own parents. When I was 1.5 years old, they separated, and so I've never seen my dad for so many years. Maybe later in the story I will give you the very first time I met him. But growing up, I don't have a father image, and so my mom, she's keeping in touch with me, but she's working in Saudi Arabia to sustain and support me that time after they got separated. So I was um, left through relatives and different people, whoever is going to be available for me at that time. And yeah, it was a really painful childhood to say. I'm not going to go into detail, but um, not having parents, you are really open to different attacks. Like I experienced to be physically abused, mentally abused, sexually abused, and the worst is spiritual abuse. So, but during those years, Peggy, I will never forget when I was 5 years old. So I was 5 years old at the time, and we lived in a small apartment somewhere in the city. And there's this window in that room. It's a big window. It's an open window in that room. And then that morning, I will never forget that I was drawn to wake up because I heard this beautiful music coming from above. And as this music keeps playing, I heard the beautiful bird singing. It's like not ordinary birds that you hear, in the forest. Something really captivating about it. And so I look up at the window, and I heard that music, and I was really looking, making sure that no one's playing it or where this music is coming from. And then as I look up Peggy, I saw this man, and he's wearing a robe. He has the most beautiful eyes. It's very captivating. And that time when I see this man, I tell you, I don't know Israel background or any of that sort, because I was 5 years old at the time. And um as I saw him, that's the first time I experienced to feel that tremendous joy, tremendous love. And even though he didn't speak to me, he already communicating to me that he is loved. It's like he knows me. It's like he knows me. It's like he's watching, something like that. And then so I was really fascinated about why there's a person on the cloud. That's why I was kind of really confused, like why is that person on the clouds. But until now, I know that it's not imagination or not some child's play, because that really give that if I always remember that memory, it's one of the most amazing memory I've ever had when I was a child. And then aside from that, Peggy, so after that day, it happened again. It's like another episode. I think just a few days, maybe because I'm desiring to see it. So I was really looking at the sky and just expecting that someone will appear again to that sky. And then I saw this beautiful cloud. It's more like, it looks like golden. So Peggy, this is not dream. This is open vision. Like I was like talking to you. This is how I see this. So that clouds that looks like gold, it it open up, and then as soon as it opens, it has that so bright shining light. It's, I don't know how I really what do you call this? I didn't get blind upon seeing that bright light, but it's so bright. And then there's a river that flows that is so beautiful. I will never forget that river. It looks like crystal, like crystal water, something like that. It's simply captivating. It's simply beautiful. It's like something that is beyond, like like it's hard to explain. So that's what I saw when I was young, and I will never forget that. And after that episode, Peggy, after that, things get dark during my growing years. So this is where I experienced so many things, like what I said, the abuse. But then there is this event in my life when I was 12 years old. I will never forget this. I was 12 years old. I met this man, and first time I heard the Bible. The Bible been shared to me. And then this is what this man said to me, that he actually says about salvation, like this. But the one that really captures my attention is when he said that, do you know that God can be your father? Because I don't have a father image. I believe God used that desperation in my life so that I will really pursue him. So when I heard that, I had this prayer, a very simple prayer. I said, Jesus, this man said that you can be my father. Can you be my father? I will give you my life. I will serve you. If you can be my father. That's what I said. I didn't know that prayer goes up in heaven, because that simple prayer give me that journey still present. So when I said that, it opens up to, I started going to church and Christianity the time. So it's a Christian community. It's not well known much in our community at that time, and so Um, since I was a pagan and the people that raised me as a pagan, they asked me not to go to church. So I really, really wanted to go to church because I wanted to know more about God, about Him being my Father. But so there was this Sunday, there was this Sunday that I sneak my bag, put it on the window, and then I go out and grab it, and then I said to my uncle, I just need to play like that. But I actually went to church. So it's kind of really that sneaking. I keep on doing that for a while, but until they found out. So when they found out, I was really, you know, I was really put in trouble. And so they said to me, you know, do not go there. The people in that church are crazy. So I remember the word because they are raising their hands and they are crying. And then later they were laughing. So for a pagan perspective, it's like an idea, a god of an idea. And so they prevent me not to go there. For a while, they think it's okay before, but then seeing them that I becoming different, Peggy, because now they see me, I smile a lot, like I have that like something strange, something joy that kind of really doing in that's happening in me. And it's not that my uncle doesn't like that, but he's a military. So I was raised by a military pagan uncle. So he wants me to raise as peers, So so back before Peggy, before I met Jesus, I have a lot of trouble street fighting. I almost not graduated when I was elementary because I hit this boy on the metal pole. But I didn't mean to do that. It's just that during that rehearsal, he raised my skirt. So he kind of released me. So yeah, so that's what happened. So I was really a problem, like a problem in school, like getting into a lot of fights. And my uncle is like, you know, I raised you that way. So you kind of really be tough, something like that. But now I'm I was always going to church and suddenly, I'm just different. Like kind of really they see that I'm smiling a lot. I became more, gentle and he kind of really don't like the idea. Like for him it looks like I'm getting weak. That's I think how. So he said, "No, you cannot go there." So I was so desperate still to go to church. So I asked someone from the church to ask my uncle to really give me a chance to go. But the answer is no. It really breaks my heart because um my uncle said when you are 18, then you will have a chance to go like that. And I feel like at the time, Peggy, God let me down. That's how I feel. Like I feel like He doesn't want me to. Like I feel like God, you said you can be my father, but it seems like you don't even want me. You are same like my parents. You also abandon me when I need you. Because of that hate and that resentment, uh, I grew up high school, going college, I became more rebellious. But I remember this, Peggy. I said to God, since 18 years old, they said I am allowed to go to church. I will come back. I will try to come back to church. That's what I promised to Jesus, but I forget that. And this is the highlights of one of some darkness that really holds my life. 17 years old. That is the year where I was college and I met this friend of mine. I didn't know she is practicing weekends. So she gave me a chance. It's like just an ordinary paper. And then she told me, you read this. If you want, like if you want something amazing or something happen to your life, just, something different that you want to happen to your life, read this. So I read the chant. And Peggy, actually, the name of that entity that I summon, it's actually in the Bible, but I will never mention the name. But anyway, when I read it that night, nothing happened until for a week, and then a month it progressed, Peggy. And that's where I didn't realize I opened a portal. So every night I started to have some visit, which this is not a good visit. This is an evil presence. And there was this time that I didn't know about astral projection. I didn't know about those things, Peggy. I think for some people to really experience astral projection, they need to do some ritual or some procedure to, to do an astral projection. But that time, on my case, I can astral project even when I'm just barely sleeping, or even actually, I was just sitting like this, and then I will just see myself in a different place. Um, so when I am experiencing that, Peggy, it gives me almost like losing my mind, because Peggy, if you experience to go to a different realm, if you compare our world to the world where I experienced to go, it's like it's so hard to determine which is real and which is illusion, because some realms are more vibrant, if I can say, more vivid looking than our world. So it's really hard to explain the colors that I saw in those places. And um, is it okay if I share one of the experience or the realm where I went to? So this one that I saw, um, I will never forget this. I was college still at this time, and I saw that I thought I am still sleeping during that afternoon. As soon as I opened the door of our house outside, I was really, really shocked, because as soon as I opened, I saw the first thing that I saw is on the sky. There is that, it's like hovering birds. They look like a legion of birds. But in that realm, Peggy, everything is enhanced, because if I look at them and I focus and concentrate in looking at them, then I realize they're not ordinary birds. They look like a human that has a face of a bat looking evil, something, something, and there's a lot, like a lot of them, and they're hovering on the sky. And then I was now walking on the dry ground. It's very cracked, no single water, just dry and cracked, and the place looks so gloomy. But I know the grace of God is still there, because Peggy, even though I am seeing this happening, I cannot really go into it. It's like there's an invisible wall. It's like a water wall. If I can explain it as best way I can describe it. It's like that invisible water wall that I'm kind of really trying to go, but it's like that's the limit. But then this is what I saw. I saw on the dry crack ground there are many, many, many people. I think if I can say it, they are not alive anymore. They look like dead. They all have the same look, like ragged, dirty clothes. like very tattered, and they have chains, and they are lining up, but their eyes is like in a trance, like they just look like sleeping. They're like in the trance. But then as I was watching them, Peggy, I saw this giant looking like, I know it's an angel, but looks like he has something. It's like he looks like a shepherd, but a different shepherd, like a bad shepherd. Because it's like this soul, he is leading the flock. It's like that, leading the flock of the soul. And there's a big mouth. It's so dark. And that mouth, they, as soon as they keep on walking in line, they one at a time falling and falling and falling on that pit. And I was screaming, and I'm saying, stop, stop, wake up. I'm trying to say that, but like what I said, there's like that invisible wall that they cannot hear me. So I'm just trying to really scream, and at the same time I confused. Back in my mind, I was thinking, how am I going to go back to our house? So I tried to go back to our house, and at this time, it's like the last option that I was thinking is to pray. For a long time, I never prayed because, like what I said, I kind of really backslide in my faith that time. But at this time, I remember to scream the name of Jesus Christ. I really don't know exactly how I get back to my body. But as soon as I get back, Peggy, the one thing that I could not forget to do is to drink water. That's the very first thing I look for, water. I feel so thirsty, like tremendously thirsty. Like if I can put the water in my nerves, that's how thirsty I am. That's how I can describe the thirst, when I experience going to that place. And since I have no one to really talk to about my experiences, I just really don't know what's happening to me. I feel like sometimes, even in my classroom, in my regular classroom when I was college, sometimes I just fell asleep like that for 45 minutes and no one could wake me up. And then I will go to a different place again, something like that. So it's really not normal. And it really affected my study to the point that I stopped my college for 3 years. So during the time when I stopped my college for 3 years, Peggy, this is like God reminded me that you are going to be 18, and God remember my promise that I will come back, something like that. Like He reminds me during the time that I got sick, because seeing those things constantly really gives me so much disturbance, and I really, it kind of really takes toll on my body. I really get sick at the time, and that's where the time I remember that I had that impression of God telling me that come, come back. So I prayed and I said, God, if I get better, I will come back. Just give me a chance, like that. And then there's something happened, like a big transition happened. That's 17 years old too. Because as soon as I prayed, Peggy, I heard for the first time that my father reaching out to me. First time I heard his voice on the phone, and first time he is inviting me in his house. So I really don't know what to say, Peggy, because I don't know I have hate on him. I'm not aware that I have so much hate on my dad. So the first time I saw him and they are all crying. First time I saw my relatives on my father's side, they're all crying, and I don't understand why they're crying. But then I found out that my grandfather died, and that is the time where my father had the realization when his father died. He said that if I died and my children will not know me, then it's like what he is now feeling on the time where his father died. So I think that's really what really opens up for him to communicate with me. And I was full of hate, Peggy, because I found out that he knows where I live. He knows where he can visit me, and he have all the time in the world for that 17 years that he can visit me, but he never tried. He just never tried to be a dad. And I was really really realized that I hate him when, Peggy, in Philippines we have a funeral procession. Um, so in the funeral procession, he is about to hug me and to say, "I'm sorry, my daughter," something like that. But I really hurt him so bad. Like I really elbow my dad and really hurt him so much until someone just tried to stop me not to do that to my father. And I was screaming and screaming, and I was like, I just don't understand what's going on. So after that event, Peggy, that's where I run away from home. I run away. I stopped my college for 3 years. I ran away from our house. And the one who accepted me when I was homeless was a pastoral church. I don't have anything at that time, Peggy, when I ran away. I only have my. And the first time, I only have is the mop. So that's the first ministry I'm doing in the church. I'm just cleaning the church. And so that's how I can have some food to eat. For that 3 years, I've been soaked in the church. Every morning, they teach me how to seek God, to read the Bible, and to pray. Until such time when that became like a second nature. That became just a lifestyle, a habit of me waking up in the morning, seeking God, praying, read the Word. And then there's this one that uh, the pastor told me is that test of forgiveness. I don't know if you heard this, but I heard this message that sometimes when we go through life, there are 5 tests that we are going through: the test of time, test of faith, test of purity, test of forgiveness, and test of love. I think I'm on that stage where it is the test of forgiveness. So during this time, Peggy, my mom just came home. So she's working in Saudi Arabia, and then she came home, and I gathered all the courage to face her from me running away. I know she's really not happy of what I've done. And so I came to her, I asked forgiveness, and I kind of really opened up, what just really happened to me, why I have to do those things. And then also with my dad, Peggy, this is the time when God prepared me to really face him again. So I went to Manila, to the place where my father is. Okay, Peggy, I forgot to mention to you why they separated my mom and my dad. So my dad, he's been a drug addict for more than, mm, I think, most of his life. He is a drug addict, and so that's another thing that the reason why they are separated. And when I came back to see him, I was just shocked for that 3 years. I saw he is in a small house and he is preaching. He became a pastor, Peggy. My dad became a pastor. And so while I was there, I waited for him. And then as soon as he is done, I embraced him and I said, I don't know why that's the first thing that comes from my mouth. I said, Dad, forgive me. So we reconciled, and it's like things really at that moment, Peggy, things really, there's a reconciliation, there's a forgiveness, and I had even a chance to forgive those people who abused me, and God really put things in my life, like it kind of really fall in the right place, and that this is the start where I finish my college. I go back again to school, and I finish my college, and then at this time, Peggy, I was just less than a year to where I work. I was a teacher that time. So that's my first job. And they asked me to, if I want to go to be a missionary in South Korea. And that's my dream. That's really I pray for to be a missionary. And then this Christian school gave me an opportunity to be a missionary, and it's a whole lot of different experience again. And Peggy, before I accept this offer, I prayed to God. The first time, the owner of the school asked me, "Would you like to go?" And I said, "I'm still praying for it." The second time, but the third time, Peggy, I will never forget. I had a dream. In my dream, I saw I am feeding a fish, and they are speaking Mashita, and they're happy. And those fish was saying, now I understand what is the language, but it's already in my dream first before I really. So that time, like what I said, in Korea for that 3 years, that's where God teach me a lesson that sometimes being alone is really not scary, because God healed my abandonment issue, and being alone on that 3 years, God really showed me, that it's like the wilderness in the Holy Spirit, where I learned so much things about Him, how He works to the lives of people, and about um, healing. Because at this time, Peggy, I believe there's still that healing that is being processed in me by God. And then after that, Peggy, it was a beautiful chapter of my life. I left Korea with a beautiful memories. I still keeping in touch with my family in there, who became my boss, who became my family now. And coming here in US is a different story, Peggy. Um, I don't know if you believe this, but every places, where we go, there is an angel that is assigned on that places. Whether it's country, village, or towns, every places, even house have angels assigned. And so even every places have different strongholds. So coming here in America is a different story. So when I came here in US, Peggy, I experienced tremendous things. 5 things happened to me in only 1 year. It's like an attack. 5 years in 1 year. That was 2016. I became a mom. I got married, became a mom, and I cannot forget this. The first one that happened to me is, as a first time mom, this is the most scariest thing that I see my daughter. She had seizure. She's 1.5 year old and just waking up, and she's convulsing. And I don't know where to turn to, because that time my husband is at work, and I'm alone. And I was screaming. I even don't know how to pick up my phone or what to. I was really shaking. I was just so desperate. I prayed to God, what is happening? And at the time, 911, first time, I'm watching 911 in Philippines when I was young. Seeing it in front of my house is a different story. Like, wow, I never realized this is going to happen to me. Then after that, Peggy, my husband's job shut down. He had no job, so we were homeless, but we are living in my in-law. And then the third one, Peggy, we had an accident in Ohio. And then the fourth one, we announced for the second baby, and I had miscarriage. And then the last blow, this is where I am publishing my book, and my father died. Those four things that happened to me, it's very, very painful, but I try to still continue praying on my faith, holding on to my faith. And then after that prayer time, prayer walk, as soon as I stepped in the house, I heard the call in Philippines that my father died. So I was really, that was the last blow of that year. So what I did, Peggy, I went inside the closet. It's like a cabinet. It's like a, yeah, that stays there. And I locked the door, and this is what I say. This is what I say. I praise you, God, for you are a good, good God. And your goodness doesn't base on my situation. So whether if I have lost, death, pain, I will still praise you because you are a good, good father to me. So I think at this time I remember Job. That's why that's I don't know, that's the reaction of my heart, just to praise him and to say thank you. Thank you for all this, like that. And you're still a good God, and I still love you. You know. I think at this time, Peggy, what after I said that to God, I had a dream. And this dream, Peggy, is no ordinary dream. Um, in this dream, Peggy, what happened is I saw a huge gate. It was so huge, and it's been open. And I saw two giant, huge angels. They're really, really huge. I feel like they are as huge as the gate, but I can still see them. I don't know. Sometimes in the spirit, like you can see really closer, even though it's high. I don't know. It's hard to explain. So as soon as I enter, the angel just say, "Welcome. You are in a training." That's what they said. And then they showed me this fish. It's really big, and it's not like the fish that is in our world. And so they said to me, "You need to catch this." But but at the time I was still devastated. I'm still feel broken. And I just don't have the passion to do it. And so I said to the angel, I actually don't say to them, but back in my mind, I said, I'm no fisherman. Like I cannot just, catch it. But then they helped me, they showed me. And in short, I caught the fish. As soon as I caught, they were happy because it's like the test that I passed. As soon as I caught it, I saw the image of a father, and everyone's looking at him. I didn't see his face, Peggy. It's so bright, but he's bigger than the angel. Like he's so huge. And when I look at him, there behind him, there's that giant flood, like a tsunami, like a giant flood behind him. And that giant flood, as soon as it about to take over me, I got so scared. I don't know what happened. It's so fast. He grabbed me and he put me on his shoulder. And then as soon as he put me on his shoulder, I just saw myself falling on the great falls. Like it became a great waterfalls. We fall there, so the intensity of the water, Peggy. That's why I can say it seems like it's no ordinary dream. I feel the intensity that I know if the presence of that father is not with me, I cannot make it to the ground. I'm going to die. Just the impact of the speed, it's so scary. As soon as we plunge in the water, I was so scared because I couldn't touch the ground, and I'm drowning deep, deep, deep. And his light from under the water, his light just lift me up. It's hard to explain this. It's so fast, but it's so gentle. So I think it's so fast like a light because I saw the light on the water, and so fast he's lifting me up. But at the same time, he is so gentle doing that. As soon as he lifted me up there, I thought it's done, Peggy. And then he said, prepare, there is a wall of ocean. I didn't process that. I just saw I am on that wall of ocean, wall after wall. We didn't go up, we didn't go here, we go at the middle of the ocean. And my face is just, I was really like trying to say, stop, let this thing stop, make it stop. I was like, I'm going to die. That's how I feel. And there was a time in that impact that I think I almost got away, but he grabbed me gently, tenderly. He grabbed me, but so strong, he didn't let me go. I never, I cannot remember how things stopped, but then I just realized the water, the sounds, everything just stopped, just calm. And then I just saw myself on the shore. And the father that hold me on his shoulder, it became the man on the robe. I just saw he's walking with me and I was crying, and Peggy, this is Jesus. He asked me questions. This is a simple question that he asked me. He said, my daughter, in all those troubled water you've gone through, when was the time I left? And then he said to me, never in a single moment I left you. And my reaction to that, Peggy, is I cried, I prostrate myself, and I said, this is just what I said, yes, Lord, you never left, you never left. And while I was crying like that, Peggy, I saw he's crying too. And it breaks me so much because while that is happening, Peggy, I saw my childhood. While I was being abused and I was crying, I saw him embracing me. And then when I was teenager, I think in my room, I saw him. He never sent angels to do this. He's the one who really there. He embraced me. And then when I was a missionary in Korea and I was still so alone, he embraced me. And then when all things just happening, just presently, he just embraced me too. He's there. And you know, Peggy, this really healed me whole is this. When I saw Jesus, when he cried, I feel like I am a stone that going to turn into powder, into very tiny pieces. Because I saw his pain, and his pain is so much that no human can ever bear the pain. I saw he is crying for everyone who is lost, who is sick and dying. And he loves every single person so much. That's what I saw. And his pain cannot compare to the pain I am going through. And it's like I wanted to kind of really go back to always saying that, oh, I was abused, like those kind of, I'm in pain, something like that. It's just gone. Just compared to what happened to Jesus, for that, this is what I said actually to him. I'm nothing. I just said to him, I'm nothing. I'm nothing, Lord. I'm nothing. I don't know why I keep on saying that, but maybe because what I'm saying is I am nothing compared to what Jesus had gone through. Maybe that's what my soul is trying to say. I'm nothing. And, Peggy, at the time that such tremendous love of Jesus. It kind of really those emotions that he's going through, all the pain in the world, all the cries of his children. I feel like that's why I said that emotion I cannot put it into one. I cannot contain it. I feel like I'm going to explode. I cannot contain that emotion. And like what I said, it's like 1,000 pieces of the powder that I'm going to turn to. And then this is the lesson I learned from there, Peggy, that there are forgiveness, the level of forgiveness. Sometimes forgiveness to the person, forgiveness to ourselves. Sometimes we cannot forgive ourselves for what happened. And the last is this that God really showed me on that time is to forgive God. We are not aware sometimes that we actually do not forgive God for what happened to us. Because even though I have a good chapter of my life when I was a missionary in South Korea, I thought I'm doing the service for Him. I thought, I am healed, I am okay, I am, a servant of God, and things are well. But then God reminded me that there is one more that you need to forgive, and that is me. You need to forgive me that you thought that I left you. Because it's like the father image, I really don't have that growing up. And my earthly father and my heavenly father somehow illustrated to me that I always have the question is, where were you? Where were you when I need you? Where were you when I was abused? Something like that. And God answered that. God answered that in that dream. And Peggy, it really healed me because at that time when that is happening, I really felt that I wanted to say to God that, God, if I live 1,000 lifetimes and 1,000 times I died, I will keep on giving my life to you. I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to comfort him for what the pain that he's going through, but no amount of that I know can really do that. But he's still that love, and that's how I understand that he cares. That's how I understand deeply that he is not silent with our pain and he loves us. And and that really gave me peace. And Peggy, this is another thing that God had done to me. It's not only in my dream, but I know he is Jesus that I met because those 5 things that happened to me, God turned it into blessing, into so many multiple ways. So the first one is my daughter who had seizure. Um, that year, Peggy, he actually got advanced in school, so he got excel. So he grew gracefully and beautifully. And then, with what happened to the second one that I told you, I think it's the accident in Ohio. Oh, um, my husband job. So that job that got closed, Peggy, that shut down, it got open, and now he's actually the manager of that job. And we have our own house now, like here, and yeah, and it's the house that we desire, the dream house, and then the third one, Peggy, even though we had accident in Ohio, we didn't tell that we had accident, but someone just donate a truck. It's just a blessing. I don't know, but I know God talked to these people. And then the fourth one, Peggy, I had miscarriage, but during that time, God comfort me that I will see that child in heaven. And then the last one, even though my father died, I'm just thankful that he died as a pastor. Actually, when he died, brain aneurysm, he's preaching in the pulpit when he died. That's how he exits. He just preaching in the pulpit. And then after that, Peggy, I saw many, many souls he touched. those young people that's been recovered from drug addiction, those homeless people. And now I am continuing my father's mission. And these church are still active and still, serving the community. Especially, this is planted in the heart of the city in Manila, in Philippines, where it's very hard to win souls. This is, a blessing that I saw. My father didn't die from being the drug addict, but he died as a servant of God and serving many people. And I see how the church grows. And this just became a beautiful chapter of my life at the present. And, you know, I learned those lessons in my life. And until now, Peggy, I still have those times where I am visited by Jesus and angels, but it's not my appointment. Sometimes, you develop that yielding to the Holy Spirit, like that everyday prayer. And so sometimes they have an appointment to us. I'm going to share one for this one, Peggy, if it's okay. So this one, Peggy, I saw this angel. They are singing. My God is an awesome God. They never stop singing that, and they have different instruments, like a worship instrument. And then as they get me in my room, it's like we were floating. And Peggy, I had no idea what is Dome of the Rock at this time. I don't know about Israel. I had no idea about culture in Israel. But then I saw this look like a gold looking dome temple, looking like that. And then so we were there. We went in there in that temple, and then the angel told me, "Watch." That's what he said. And so when I watched, I saw many young boys. They have a white turban and they have a timbrel in their hands, and they are so joyful. They enter this huge door and it's so bright. As soon as those boys who have a white turban enter on that huge door, that light, it shut down. And then the angels and the other side, they fight. They are constantly fighting. And and then seeing this, it's like the angel said, you will just be a witness, that this is just happening right now. Like they're constantly fighting on that temple. And then after that, Peggy, we went home. The way they what do you call this, escorted me out of my room is the way they bring me back. And then after that, Peggy, I was like thinking, what's the purpose of this? Because it just doesn't make sense why I see that. But then when I became a missionary in Korea, my boss went to Jerusalem and he gave me the calendar of the exact dome of the rock that I saw in my dream. And I was like, God is just trying to confirm to me that what I saw is not just dream, because like what I said, I had no idea about this. It was, I think, way back 10 years ago, and then I saw this. Yeah. And so God has a message for us even in the present time today. And that's why, yielding to God, every day, that what my life is right now. And I know he's not finished with me, but God gave me this word in First Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24 to 26 about the forerunners. And there are many of that in our world right now. The forerunners of faith, where he maybe some other time, this was the one that I was taken to the artillery room, and said he mentioned about the sword of the spirit and the armor of God and many things. But um, Peggy, this is the story that I'm going to share to you about my life before I met Jesus, and then going through a lot of trials and then in my present life right now, that I never realized that I'm going to share my testimony to the whole world. And it is such a privilege to share this testimony and also to meet you here in US. So thank you for giving me that privilege. And I also want to say thank you, God, and to God be the glory.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.